Hello. I've just unmuted you, or maybe you weren't muted.
Oh.
to begin with. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. How are you? Are you working at the moment, or what's the kind of lockdown?
No,
No.
I've been on furlough for about 3 weeks, maybe. So, which has kind of been nice in some ways because I can just relax at home.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, there's silver linings, I suppose, to this at the minute. But
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, what about you?
I'm on furlough as well, but
Yeah.
I think this has been the first week that my work haven't messaged me every single day at least 3 times about something.
Oh, really?
So yeah, but it's definitely better being furloughed than trying to juggle vaguely homeschooling and working full time. It's all been a little
Yeah,
bit
that
crazy.
can't have been easy. How old are your two?
They are 5 and 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so homeschooling is lots of fun.
So are they going back to school soon
Well,
then? With
no,
any
it's all a little bit. What's it like in Belgium? What's the school situation? Do you know? Is that
Yeah, in Belgium, uh, primary year 1, 2, and 6 are going back next week, and some
okay?
years of secondary. So not all of them.
Yeah,
And preschool is not going.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's sort of the plan over here, but I think the plan has been clear as mud because they've said that, reception year 1, potentially year 2, I think, will go back first, but not full classes, and I don't know what's going on.
Same here. It's like it depends on the school and it
Yeah,
depends on the city and on the town hall. Because, for instance, in Brussels city, there are 19 communes, so 19 town halls in one city.
well,
So
okay.
even in Brussels, depending where you live,
Yeah,
it's going to be different, but normally they will go back maybe 2 or 3 days a week, or maybe half day. So honestly, it's like not going back. It's worse for the parents, I think, because it's juggling more.
It's a bit crazy, isn't it, really? Well, now I'm a bit dark here. My basement has no natural light, so I have a sad light, which I use. So it looks like the sun is shining on my face. It's quite nice. It's a small group because it means that we could potentially have a little bit more kind of actual chat, because obviously when they're bigger groups, it's pretty much impossible to open up a Zoom without it being slightly chaotic. But yeah, so you're in quite different stages of pregnancy. So Abby, you're 16 weeks, did you say? Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got 27 weeks, and you're kind of, Jenny, 25, coming up for 25? Not yet.
No, I'm 27, nearly 28 weeks
Oh, okay,
now.
so you're saying, right, okay. And how are you?
Yeah.
So everyone's feeling well? Anything that you want to kind of flag up today? You don't have to share, but like if there's anything physically that you're working with, then do, tell me. I know that what we're going to do every week, we'll be mindful of any kind of pelvic girdle pain. There's not going to be anything completely dynamic or anything, obviously, but I'd also like you to start to cultivate an awareness of what's right within your body. So if at any point there is a sense that actually this doesn't feel like a comfortable position, go with that feeling rather than saying to yourself, I can't stop because she's still talking. I will always be talking, but I want you just to always rest yourself into a comfortable position. Make sure, if you can, you've got pillows around you to hand, so that if you need to just sort of rest yourself either on your left hand side or rested propped up against the wall, so just sort of leaning your head, your shoulders, your back against the wall and making sure you're nice and comfy, then do. So we really need to kind of, the first rule of motherhood generally is to always have a slight awareness of your own comfort, because that's often the thing that you put right down to the bottom of the list. So it's quite nice to be able to begin to sort of instill that habit of thinking, am I comfortable enough? And if not, how can I enhance that comfort right now in this moment? The first Rule of self-compassion. So, without further ado, we're going to start sitting. So I'm going to just move my laptop so you can see the mat. Let's see, there we go. And starting with just a lovely kind of grounding meditation. And by that I simply mean focusing on your breath. So making sure you're comfortable. If sitting cross-legged isn't comfortable for you, pelvic girdle pain-wise or anything, see if frog-legged can be more comfortable. If not, make sure that you have something you can lean against so that you can rest your legs, softening the knees if you need to. We want to make sure that the sitting position is something you can maintain without feeling really tense at any point. So, hands placed first on your knees. I just want you to close your eyes for a moment and just allow your gaze to turn inward and begin to notice your breath. So just noticing to begin with. I want you to see whether you can track the sensations of the breath as it comes in through the nose. And then as it releases, whether you feel comfortable breathing out through the mouth or through the nose, whichever is your natural breathing mechanism. Don't change it for now, just notice it. And so we're just allowing the breath over time, over the next few breaths, to find a rhythm. So try and maybe in for a count of 5 and out for a count of 6, but without forcing it. So try and take the first few breaths simply to notice that breath cycle for you. How does it feel? Where do you feel it? And as you're breathing and gently allowing that rhythm to come into the breath, in for 5, out for 6. See if you can just gently become aware of your posture, how you're holding your body, how your baby is soft in your belly. Think about the undulation of the spine. So imagine from the crown of your head, what's going on between the crown of your head and where your bottom meets the mat or the floor underneath you. So I want you to think with every breath, noticing where the breath travels within that space. So as you breathe in, think about it wide in the rib cage, around your heart center, wide down around your belly, around your baby, down towards your pubic bone, your tailbone. And then as you breathe out, just notice any sensations, any changes in the openness of the belly, the softness of the belly on the in-breath and on the out-breath. See if you can find space within your torso. So maybe that means slightly adjusting yourself, using the weight of your hands on your knees to softly roll through the shoulders. You can keep your eyes closed. Seeing if you can create a little bit of space around the rib cage to encourage your breath to be fuller around the back of the ribs, around the sides of the ribs. And then settling any movement if it doesn't feel right, or if you just feel like you want to settle into that breath. And then I'd like to invite you to take one hand onto your heart center, just resting around your breastbone, maybe a little bit higher or lower, depending on what feels comfortable for you. And then one hand on your belly. So allowing your hand to rest on your bump, whatever feels right for you. So either sort of resting on the top of baby or down towards your pubic bone, cradling baby, whichever feels right and comfortable. Take a moment just to notice those sensations. So as you breathe in, where do you feel the sensations underneath your palms? Notice where it moves as you take the breath in. Where does it go between those two hands? And as you breathe out, where's the momentum? There's no right or wrong, just get used to just gently tuning into the sensations of that space between your heart center, your womb center. And out. And if you can, for the next few breaths, begin to cultivate a soft breath, releasing it out through the lips. If you haven't already, let the jaw soften and sigh the breath out through the mouth. In through the nose. And through the mouth. 2 more, in through the nose. And through the mouth. Last one, deep breath in here. And then just softly release your arms, hands either onto the knees or down by your sides, whichever feels more comfy. And we're just going to change the cross of your legs. Adjust your pelvis, sit bones, buttocks, whatever feels comfortable to make sure that you're feeling right in this position. If it doesn't feel right on the pelvis, by the way, if they suddenly kind of shift something, they come back to a position that feels comfy. We're just trying to kind of encourage a sense of evenness into the pelvic floor and into the thighs. So, hands on the knees once more. Let's just come into that shoulder roll movement once more, but we're going to just expand it a little bit. And I want you to dip your heart center towards your right knee and then down to center across to the left knee and up. So obviously, depending on the size of your bump, you may not go very far or very low, but I want you to allow there to be a sense of connecting through the knees to allow that a little bit of feedback for the movement through into your shoulder blades. Maybe a little twist on the way down and on the way up. See if you can encourage a bit of space and openness and mobility now into that rib cage area. One more in this direction. Just breathing normally as you do this. And then we're going to pause at the top and go the other way. So dipping down to the left knee, across and up. Noticing if you've got any tension anywhere, any sense of tightness in the ribs or the hips. Maybe even in the buttocks, you might feel a gentle stretch through the lumbar spine and into the lower back, into the hips and the bum. Last one in this direction. And then coming back through center. Now from here, let's take the legs out in front of you. And I want you just to take hold around the backs of the thighs. Now, depending on the size of your bump, you might need to have the knees slightly further out, or you might feel comfortable placing the feet down. So that's completely up to you. It doesn't really matter. It sort of depends how you feel into the pelvis. If you've got any pubic pain around the front, I want you to be careful of that open leg stance too much if it starts to feel a bit heavy or painful around the front. So make sure you come back into parallel if there's ever any sense that the pubic bone is under a little bit of pressure. So taking hold around the backs of the thighs and allow that to just open up through your heart center a little bit more. So imagine you're just taking this energy through the back of the thighs and you're pulling through the front of your chest and letting the back of the head, shoulder blades, tailbone lengthen up. Breathe in here. And as you breathe out, I want you to tuck the tailbone underneath you and just come into a little crescent moon shape with the spine. So we're thinking about lengthening out through the crown of the head. Imagine energy up rather than slumping down. And an even flexion through the whole of the spine. Imagine each bone moving individually and at the same flexion. Breathing in here. Breathing out, tuck or send the tailbone back behind you, and then the same energy pulling your heart center forward, just a little bit of extension looking up. So we're not forcing it. Shoulder blades soft in the back, open the throat. Breathe in here. As you breathe out, moving from the tailbone, tuck the tailbone underneath you and allow it to undulate through the spine to come back into that little C curve, looking down towards your bump, hugging your baby in towards you, little gentle squeeze or activation of the abdominals. Breathe in here. Breathe out, send the tailbone back behind you, open through the chest, and look up. Let's do 2 more. So breathing in. As you breathe out, tuck the tailbone underneath you. Imagine you're hugging your baby in with your abdominals. So it's not a very deep squeeze that I want you to feel, just a sense of gentle activation through the lower belly. Soften the chin to the chest. Breathe into the back of the body. Breathing out, send the tailbone back behind you. Let this open up through the front of the body and gently into the throat, looking up. We're not hanging into the neck, so I want you just to feel a sense of openness through the chest and the heart center. And last one, tucking through the tailbone, rolling through the spine, lengthen the crown of the head forward. Good. Soften the shoulders if you can. Breathe in. Breathe out, send the tailbone back. Sitting bones come back to the floor. Lengthen the spine back up and the crown of the head just lifts towards the ceiling. So you've got a sense of kind of like space through the neck and the shoulders. Lovely, breathing in. Now coming back into a frog position, is that comfortable for everyone? Does that feel all right in the pelvis? Yeah?
Yeah.
Do move out of it, or kind of, you know, let me know if it's not. We're just going to do a little, it's a really nice position for a bit of pelvic floor awareness. If you're not comfortable here though, you're more than welcome to lie on your side. Left side is best, optimum to be on for any length of time. But if you feel comfortable on your back as well, as long as you're lifted with a little pillow so that your heart is higher than baby, lying on your back is absolutely fine, as long as, you know, your body will tell you if it's not. So do any of you avoid lying on your back at the moment?
Yeah, it's not been comfortable for me for
comfortable.
about 20 weeks. I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, it's one of those very individual things. You can either feel really comfortable but then feel panicked that it's not allowed, or you can really, your body immediately tells you it's not right for you.
Yeah.
So whichever position you feel more comfortable in, what we want to do is try and find the sense of pelvic floor openness and softness. So particularly from the third trimester onwards, that's the last home stretch, it's a good idea to start thinking not just in terms of pelvic floor lift, but also really, really deep opening and releasing, kind of ability to soften through the pelvic floor. So this is quite a nice position to be in because you're switching off the buttock muscles and the hips. You can't grip anywhere else. You have to find that sense of only deep lift through the pelvic floor. So I want you to imagine, you can close your eyes if that feels comfy. Make sure you're really comfortable. So make sure you're not tense anywhere. So the shoulders want to be soft. The hips want to be as soft as possible. Maybe give them a little massage if they're feeling a bit strained. Come into a position where you're maybe resting against the wall or a bed or sofa behind you. Imagine your tailbone at the back. You can even give it a little feel to notice where it is. Your pubic bone at the front and the two sit bones either side. So I'm going to find my pelvis to show you a visual about what I mean. It's not actually my pelvis, obviously. So this is what I'm talking about with this lovely diamond shape. The tailbone at the back, the two sit bones either side, and the pubic bone at the front. So I often will talk about the pelvic floor diamond, and that's what I'm talking about. So the pelvic floor expands across each corner of the diamond, but it also kind of overlaps on itself in this kind of lovely figure of eight shape. So the layer underneath this one is a figure of eight that goes around all your various orifices. So what we need to do is really have a sense of not just lifting up through your center, but also the expanse, the softness between each of those points. So when you're sitting in this position, it's quite a nice visual representation. You can see that diamond shape mirrored and synchronized with the knees, the feet. So let everything soften. Make sure the shoulders just release into the back. The neck is nice and soft. Maybe just bring the left ear to the left shoulder for a moment, and then bring it up and across to the other side. We want to just make sure that we're really soft through the top end of your body, and then begin to bring that softness to the lower part of the body. So I want you to take a lovely deep breath in. See whether you can breathe into your bottom. So imagine you're breathing down into the mat. Visualize in your mind's eye, if you take a lovely deep breath, can you breathe in all the way down the spine? Allow that breath to spiral, spiral, spiral towards your tailbone. And then breathe out. Just notice any sensations, any change in subtle awareness of your pelvic floor. We're not actively lifting yet, we just want to sort of tune in. Take a breath in. Notice, if you can, a sense of softening and widening. Imagine the sit bones kind of gently drawing apart as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, slightly more dynamic breath. Let's really sigh the breath out. Notice if there's a change in the bump, a gentle lifting up as you breathe it out. Breathe in, relax, let your belly totally soften, so baby completely relaxed. Breathing out. Now I want you in this position, on the out breath, to lift your back passage as if you're trying to stop breaking wind. Now it might be quite hard to find that back passage connection here because it's more active through the center in this position. So notice any awareness. Take a breath in. Soft, soft, soft. As you breathe out, lift into your back passage and travel that engagement forward to the pubic bone. So we're trying to feel that you're connecting first here, and the natural momentum travels forward and up. And then breathe in, release, release, release. So let that back passage fully relax. Breathe out, lift back through to front. You might feel your bump hugging in gently. And then breathe in, let it fully go. Last one here, take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, lift back, passage through to front. Try and gently hold that sensation as if you're hugging your baby up and in. So when I say hugging, I just mean that lift of your lower abdominals from the pubic bone up. Imagine gently drawing the weight of your baby in towards your spine. And then breathe in, let baby relax forward. And then from here, I want you just to bring your legs around to the left. So we're just tucking the legs around the side, and I want you to still try and feel like your spine is lengthened upright. So we're trying not to kind of slump into the side of the body. We want to feel like although the left side of your bum will be slightly lifted, I want you to feel like you can still imagine there being a sense of lift and softness around both shoulders. So we're trying not to be uneven. Take the right hand and just place it down softly onto the ground to give you that little added bit of support on the mat. Breathe in, and as you breathe out, float the left arm up towards the ceiling, and then allow this right arm to bend softly as you reach over. So gently lengthening through that left side of your waist. Breathe into that, so expanding that sense of reach from the fingertips towards the hip. Check in with the space here, with the shoulder and the ear. We're trying not to reach it up to the shoulder, but nice and soft in the neck. Breathing in. And as you breathe out, lengthen it back upright. Take your hand onto your shin, float the right arm up, and then just soften the neck. So again, find that lovely space between your shoulder and your ear, trying not to hoik the shoulder towards the ear, and then reach up and over, and only go as far as feels comfortable here. So you might feel actually that something feels a bit cramped here, it doesn't feel right, so just stay wherever feels comfortable, and imagine lifting up, up, up with this side of the waist. So we're not lifting the shoulder necessarily, but expanding into that waist. If you can and it feels comfortable, coming over into a side reach. Breathing in there, breathing out, float the arm back. Find the floor, lift up and reach in the opposite direction. Think about the underside of the waist. We're trying to resist collapsing down. So we want to feel that sense of that line from the pubic bone through your bump, breastbone, nose, stays in line with each other. Reaching those fingertips, breathing in. Breathing out, let's come all the way across to the other side, lengthen over. And again, it can be up. It doesn't have to be all the way across. So work with what feels right for your torso. Whatever you're doing, breathing into that right side of your lungs, of your baby. And then last one, floating the arm down, find the floor, lift up and reach. Working against gravity on this right side. So really lift the right side of your waist as if you're just trying to hold baby in, not letting baby drop towards the mat. Breathing into the left side of the lungs. And let's come back through center and reach up. So again, lifting and then going across. So you don't have to twist, you don't have to come to the diagonal if it doesn't feel right. Breathing in and releasing back through center. Now take that hand onto the floor. We're just going to shift the legs slightly further back. We're going to stay on this side for now. And I want you just to take your hand onto your chest. Just sort of soften the heart center. It's quite a nice soothing thing to do sometimes anyway, just gently placing your hand on your heart center. Breathe in here. And then as you breathe out, send this top elbow and just open your heart out to the side. So we're just trying to kind of open and twist gently, allowing this movement to happen comfortably. So don't force it if baby doesn't like twisting. Just allow this to be a sense of opening the chest. Keep pressing into the floor with this right arm, and then open the left arm out behind you. Breathe in here. Breathe out, floating that left arm back down to the mat. We're going to twist a little bit, but because the bump is, I want you to really be mindful of how much you feel comfortable twisting. You may just want to bring your hands just sort of towards in front of the knee. If it feels comfortable for you, you can come into more of a deep twist. Allow the hand to travel next to the right hand, but really work it with what you feel comfortable with. So your body will tell you if this is right and fine, stay here. Don't try and go too much into a twist if it doesn't feel right. Breathe in there. And breathe out. Hand back onto the heart center. Gently guide yourself into an open twist and lengthen through the arm. And then floating that top arm back down, finding the floor either just in front of your hip, your bump, or slightly deeper into a twist. And breathe. And then just bringing the knees back to center, come into 4-point kneeling. Before we go to the other side, you might want to always have a little pillow. So if we come into a rest position, just sort of supporting yourself, or depending on the size of your bump, you can either bring the elbows down, send the tailbone towards the heels and stay quite high, or if you feel comfortable doing so, bring your forehead all the way down and let the arms release down along the floor. If you need to, keep the knees quite wide. If you have space with your bump and you feel like you need to stretch the lower back a little bit more, then you can keep the knees a little bit closer towards each other. So just working again with your own comfort. Comfort is key. Let's just send the breath into the back of your body. As long as you feel comfortable here, it's a lovely restorative position to be in. Adjust the hands if you need to, take them underneath the forehead or wrap them around your bottom, your heels, whatever feels right for you. See if you can imagine nourishing the spine with your breath and letting your baby completely soften in your belly. So let your tummy totally relax here. And then when you're ready, let's just begin to roll back up. Send the tailbone down, gently restack your spine. Head comes up last, but try not to rush. We don't want to get a head rush at any point. And then coming back to sitting, reorganize your legs around the other side. You might feel that one side feels very strange and different to the other. It's often the way, particularly when you're pregnant. But if one side feels uncomfortable, let me know. Obviously, kind of flag it up if you feel like one side just doesn't work as well. Sometimes with rotation, particularly, one side in the third trimester just feels a bit strange. So go gentle with the rotation if you need to. Taking the left hand down, let your spine grow tall. So notice what it takes for you to feel that same sense of openness on this side as the other. You might feel more comfortable on this side, of course, than the other. This is just my weak side, so everyone else has the same. Let's take a breath in. And as you breathe out, floating that left arm up. Relax the shoulder, make sure the neck is nice and free. Hand relaxing on the floor. You can bend your elbow or you can bring the elbow all the way down, whatever feels comfortable in your body, reaching out through the waist. So again, we're not reaching the shoulder, we're actually keeping the shoulder soft away from the ear and making that left side of your body, right side of the body, sorry, really expand and reach. Breathing into that right lung. Breathing out, float that arm back up. Relax it down. Float the arm up towards the ceiling, relax the shoulder, lift up, up, up through the waist, so growing through that left side, and then reach over if that feels comfortable for you. Breathing in, breathing out, lengthen the arm, finding the floor, releasing the palm down, lift with the right arm, and then coming over, bending into that left arm if that feels comfortable, but you can keep it straight if you need to. So again, we're trying to think about resisting gravity through this left side of your waist, reaching out through the right side. Breathe. Breathing out, come back through center. So a little bit of work for the obliques to help you come back upright and all the way across. Again, remember you can stay here, lifting out through the waist if that feels better. Breathe. Last one, floating the arm down. Windmill the right arm up too, and then lift it over. Breathing into that right side of the waist. And coming back through center, lift. Lengthen the left side, reach it over. And back through center. Adjusting the hips so that the legs are slightly longer away from you. Placing this left arm down, take the right hand just onto your heart, giving yourself a little gentle softening connection, breathing in here. And as you breathe out, just softly open through the heart center. Imagine you're sending your heart to the ceiling and then reach that top arm away. Breathe in, breathe out, float the arm down and work with what feels right for you. So either placing the hand here or twisting a little bit further into the rib cage, as long as that doesn't feel your compressing bump. So really notice whether here is absolutely fine for you today. Your baby will tell you if it doesn't feel comfortable. And then bring the hand back to the heart center to open the chest and reach. And then float the arm down and bring it back down towards the mat. Breathing into the back of the body. Last one, floating the arm up. Softly connecting with your heart center, open the throat and breathe in, breathing out, release it back down. And then just rebuilding. Coming up to high kneeling for a moment. So I want you to feel comfortable, as I always say, but if you need a little padding underneath the knees or you need to kind of roll up your mat, do so. So don't stay in this position. You can come, what we're doing here, you could do standing if you feel more comfortable. So I want you to float the arms up towards the sides, relax your shoulders, so you can even kind of just roll them around a little bit, nice sense of connecting to the shoulder joints. And we're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, we're going to twist to the left. I want you to see if you can twist from your heart center, reaching tall out through your arms. So we're trying not to twist too much in the pelvis, but instead imagine rolling the rib cage on top of the spine, spiraling that right hip back if you can. And then back through center. Relax the shoulders. Other way, let's twist to the right. Spinning that left hip back if you can, but if it feels more comfortable ultimately and you can get a little bit of freedom of movement, then allow your bump to move and allow the hip to move a little bit too, but just make it a conscious movement. And let's come back through center. Let's float the arms up towards the ceiling and take the hands behind the head. So I want you to imagine that you're kind of really finding the base of the skull with your hands, and imagine almost pulling and lengthening the skull away from the tailbone with your hands here. Take a breath in and shrug the shoulders to the ears, and breathe out, release them down. And again, breathe in, lift, and breathe out, relax. Last one in, and good. Now from here, we're going to take a breath in, and as you breathe out, we're going to twist, and this time with the hands behind the head, noticing if it feels different. So I want you to just move as far as feels comfortable, spiraling that left hip, or that right hip, sorry, back, and then come back through center. Other side, twisting to the right, spiraling that left hip back, and come back through center. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, nod the chin to the chest, almost like you're trying to pull the length of the spine gently with your hands. I want you to look towards your bump. And imagine you're keeping the tailbone quite heavy. You try not to grip the glutes too much, but softly lengthening the tailbone and drawing the pubic bone underneath you. So you're curling your nose towards your bump and then pressing the back of the head into your hands, soft shoulders as you open and lift up. Now try not to arch the back, but let the throat chakra, the heart center open up. So it's kind of what we did at the beginning, but I want you to see we've got a little bit more work to do with our bottom to keep our tails nice and stable. And again, nod the chin to the chest. Gently tuck your tailbone underneath you, hugging your bump in as you nod forward. And then open through the throat, soften through the shoulders as you gently let your rib cage open, but not arching into the lower back. And last one, nod the chin forward. Tuck your tailbone underneath you, draw your baby in towards you, and then keep your tailbone long. We're just coming back to upright. Release the arms down. Take your hands onto the mat. Bring your knees directly underneath your pelvis. Take a breath in. Really allow your belly to completely soften. So breathe in and let baby just rest in that lovely hammock you've got there. Breathing in, soft, soft, soft. I'm not wearing the right t-shirt for this, am I? Breathing out. See if you can draw your baby in towards you, but without moving your spine. So you want to keep the spine lovely and long and lift your abdominals to hug baby in. Breathe in, let your abdominals soften, let baby relax. Breathing out, lifting into the lower belly, but without losing that neutral spine. So you want to feel like a nice cat could come and curl up in that lovely space in your lower back, but you're still hugging your abdominals in. Breathe in, relax. Breathe out, draw your baby up and in. And then I want you just to gently rock back and forward in this position. So maintaining that neutral spine. We're hinging in the hips, sending your tailbone back directly rather than down. Does that make sense? So we're not tucking the pelvis, you're hinging in the hips, you're opening the sit bone. So this is a really good position to be in early labour, because you're kind of allowing the belly to soften, allowing the weight to be taken off your back, but you're also opening through the tail of the sit bone. So you're really encouraging that space in your pelvic floor and into the pelvis. And then last one like this, rocking back, rocking forward. And I want you to tuck the tailbone underneath you and roll forward. So we're going to add a little undulation to that. So sending the tailbone back, but then roll it underneath you and roll forward. 2 more, rolling it underneath you. Last one. Roll. And coming back into a rest position, as restful as you feel comfortable. So either bottom to heels, or you can lie on your side, whatever feels right for you. And then we're going to gently rebuild your spine when you're ready. No rush. And I want you to find a really comfortable position. I do go on about comfort, it's very important. So make sure you've got a pillow. If you, like we said, if you do feel comfortable lying on your back, as long as you're kind of supported with like a big cushion, so that you can make sure if you lie down, you're slightly raised through the heart center. As long as that feels comfortable for you, that's totally fine. So physiologically, that's fine, but it has to feel okay for you, to feel safe and comfortable. You could maybe propped up through your chest, raise your legs against the wall so that you've got a nice length through the hamstrings. I want you to just come into a position where you're completely relaxed. You could lie on your side with a bump cushion and just hug the cushion in. It's a lovely position to be. If you've got a yoga bolster, it's really lovely to drape your leg over the bolster or one of those pregnancy cushions. And once you're in your lovely comfortable position, I want you to soften your gaze, so closing the eyes if you feel comfortable, and just come back to that breath rhythm that we tried to find at the beginning of the class. Notice if you're more able to elongate your breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. See if you can allow that exhalation to be longer than your inhalation, and really relax the jaw, the neck, the throat, the belly, the hips, the buttocks, all the way around the thighs, the calf muscles, the ankles, all the way from the shoulders out through to the fingertips. Your jaw, your cheeks, forehead, the space between the eyebrows. See whether you can send your breath to all of those places. Just allow the breath to wash over you like a wave. So the in-breath just gently travels from the nose to the throat, to the heart center, to the belly, and then releases away, ebbing away into the sea like a wave pulling back on the out-breath. Breathing in, let it roll over you. Breathing out, let it soften away. Now the session's going to finish in a moment, but I want you to remain here for as long as you feel comfortable. So allow yourself, gift yourself a little bit more time to focus on that breath, that softening. Try and imprint in your body how this feels and how it feels through your heart center, through your mind. See if you can find that space within your body a little bit more often during each of your days, your hours, particularly in lockdown when we don't have space.